What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a brand new film coming to the horror streaming service Shudder later this week on Thursday, September 29th, and that film is called Sissy. Written and directed by Barlow and Kane, Senes, Sissy stars people like Aisha D, Lucy Barnett, Hannah Barlow herself, Emily de Margheriti, and many others. Before I get too far into this, I want to say a big thank you again to Shudder for sending me over another early screener for one of their films that's going to be coming to their platform. Again, it will be coming out later this week on Thursday, September 29th, and I'm just always appreciative to be able to check out any of these movies a little bit early. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I am a huge fan of slasher films. There's still plenty of classic slashers I need to cover here on the channel, but I've covered all the Freddy, all the Jason, all the Chucky, and there's plenty others that I've covered. I've covered the Scream films, and overall, it's definitely one of my favorite genres of all time. Going into Sissy, I didn't know that this was going to be a slasher. I really didn't know what this movie was about at all. I haven't even watched the trailer. Any of the trailer footage that you'll see here in this review is simply just stuff I threw on after the fact, and I probably screen recorded it muted. I don't really look at the trailers a lot of times when I'm going into screeners. I want to go in 100% blind, so I don't know how much of the story that trailer does speak on, but I'm going to keep it pretty brief when it comes to the overall premise because it made for a better experience when I checked out the movie. Yeah, I just finished watching it about 10 minutes ago, and I wanted to sit down and talk about this movie. This is an interesting one because it's a horror comedy, but not necessarily too much in the comedy. It's definitely going for a very over-the-top, bizarre tone. Very much similar to another Shudder film that I covered a couple of weeks ago, or a good few weeks ago at this point, which was Glorious, which I really enjoyed. And that one was a little bit more horror comedy than this one is, but the two films were very interesting in their tone for just being over-the-top, bizarre films that definitely utilize horror elements, putting it in the horror genre, but aren't necessarily going for scares per se. In the case of the film Sissy, we hone in on a character named Cecilia, who was once called Sissy when she was a young girl, and over the course of the film, we learn things about Cecilia and her past and some of the darker elements of who she once was and some events that definitely shaped who she is. When we meet Cecilia, though, she does go by Sincerely Cecilia online and has a huge online presence and is a social media influencer. This film at its core, beyond being a slasher, is a film that's definitely a cautionary tale for where we are in today's society when it comes to social media influencers. Of course, there are plenty of great people who do this. I sit here and talk in front of a camera myself, and I like to think I'm not crazy or delusional, but there are a lot of people in this world that gain massive success online and are delusional to who they truly are and are hiding behind comments and likes to try to create this identity that they truly aren't. And this movie definitely hones in on that, using the horror genre and the slasher genre as a way to kind of utilize this really big over-the-top message about people who are in this place of success, who again are just delusional and a lot of times can get away with things that nobody else would typically get away with simply because of the following that they have and the view people already have of them. This is also a movie that touches heavily on the idea of us shaping everybody's view of who we actually are online, and how many people who do this are truly broken, fucked up people on the other side of the screen. I think that this movie definitely handled that effectively, and overall I really enjoyed that message and the way it played out. I also felt that the way that they utilized flashbacks in this film and learning more about our character over the course of the film allowed your perception of the characters in this movie to change throughout the movie. Your perception of them when you first come across these characters over the course of the movie is, completely flipped by the time you get to the very end of the film. And that's something that I really enjoyed, and I think, again, it really touches on that message about you never really knowing who the person is behind the social media account, no matter how big they are. Not long into the film, Cecilia runs into an old childhood friend who we see frequent over the course of these flashbacks over the course of the movie. Yeah, this friend ends up inviting her to be a part of her bachelorette party. It's been a long time, and that's when she's reunited with another old schoolmate who has a dark past with Sissy, or Cecilia. I don't want to get too deep into anything else that happens story-wise. I already spoke about the fact that it is a slasher, so I'm sure you can imagine where that would go. But overall, I found this to be an entertaining film. I don't think it's going to work for everybody. I think some people are going to think this is a really bad or stupid movie. movie. It's going for bizarre, so a lot of its dialogue, a lot of its performances, a lot of its inflections and the way that they wanted to deliver certain lines, certain camera angles, everything is going for a little bit of an off, strange kind of thing, which is right up my alley personally. I'm wearing a Chucky shirt right now. Those films are the epitome of just off, just strange, you know? And so a slasher like this is definitely up my alley, but I do recognize that it's not gonna work for everybody. So depending on who you are, you may or may not like this film, but I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I do think it's a good movie. I don't think it's the greatest movie. I think there's elements about it that got a little bit stale and boring at times. There are elements about it that are a little bit over the top to the point where it's a little bit obnoxious. And there are elements about it that, again, just kind of took me out of it from time to time. But when it comes to a filmmaking kind of approach, I thought the practical effects here are great. The blood, the guts, the gore, the overall cinematography, the score that's used throughout the course of the film as well is definitely effective at creating atmosphere. And I really enjoyed the lighting of this film as well. This is a good looking film that's well performed and that is well put together. Whether or not you're going to enjoy the story, the way it unfolds, and the horror comedy nature to it that's a little bit bizarre is really going to depend on who you are as a movie fan and as a horror fan. But if you're watching this before the movie comes out, I definitely want to say I recommend it. And if you're watching it after the movies come out and the movie is what brought you to this review, I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say down below. Feel free to talk to me about what happened in the movie down below. I don't want to drop any spoilers here in the video itself, but yeah, I would love to talk to you guys down below about some of the things that happened in this film. This is definitely an interesting one, but again, I do recognize that it's not going to work for everybody. So a big thanks to you guys for watching my quick thoughts on this movie. Definitely appreciate you guys stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, I definitely want to ask you to hit that like button and comment your thoughts, and hit that subscribe button because it definitely helps the channel out, and I would love for you to join me for more of my early Shudder reviews as well as tons of other movie reviews that will be coming to the channel. A big thanks to you guys for watching, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this one. Bye-bye.